F9 will have it all. A secret Toretto brother, a trip to space, a post-credit scene that crosses over with the Jurassic Park franchise by having Vin Diesel race a T-Rex. Oh, whoops, I spoiled the surprise. Oh well, who cares at this point? The Fast and the Furious franchise just keeps getting more insane with every passing movie. And now with spacecrafts and magnets involved, I think it's time to look back and rank all the outrageous physics-defying moments the series has given us. Seriously, how are these guys still alive? Let's get started. Okay, we're still in the land of reality for this one, but bear with me, I promise these stunts will get more insane. In Too Fast, Too Furious, Brian and Roman are stuck in quite the predicament. The bad guy is getting away on his boat with Monica trapped on board. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna sit down and hash out a logical plan that involves calling in the Coast Guard? Nah, they're gonna crash their car into the boat. But how Brian was able to time this jump perfectly to land on a moving boat is one of the first instances this franchise threw logic and physics out the window to make things look cool. You have to admire the totally bonkers energy of Fury 7. It just does not care about your silly rules of logic. The scene in question sees Dom and Brian have to hop buildings using a Lycan hypersport. You know, totally normal. But I guess you have to try crazy things when a madman with a grenade launcher is shooting at you. Anyways, this moment is one of the most talked about scenes in the movie, and surprisingly, the actual jump isn't the most implausible part of this stunt physics-wise. An actual physicist said that the jump may have been possible, but more surprisingly, the turns the car makes inside the building after making the jump are actually what the physicist called into question. So what's the takeaway from that? Next time you find yourself casually driving a Lycan hypersport on top of a skyscraper, feel free to get some fresh air with it. Fast 5 accomplished two things. It successfully transitioned the franchise from focusing on something boring like illegal street racing to an action-adventure explosion series. And it also made all the main characters have indestructible bodies. Either that or cars are secretly made out of jello. An early action scene sees Dom, Brian, and Mia pull an elaborate train heist, but of course, things go wrong. Brian is forced to launch his body from the speeding train and grab onto Dom's car. Sure, yeah, that car exterior really broke your fall there. And then, before you can think about that too much, the scene distracts you by sending Brian and Dom off the cliff into the river below. Admittedly, the shot of them falling is one of the coolest in the entire franchise. But it doesn't make up for the fact that that's an insane drop. Sure, they're falling into water, and maybe the car broke the surface tension, but like, they should have at least been a little sore, right? Look, entire novels have been written about the Never-Ending Runway in the 6th movie. While chasing down a plane, it's been calculated by people much smarter than myself that the runway had to be close to 20 miles long for any of that to make a lick of sense. But here's the thing people don't realize. This is the movie that actually is part Twilight Zone episode where Dom's family is transported to an alternate reality where time and space doesn't apply, and they're caught in a Groundhog Day-like scenario where they'll stay on that runway until they complete the mission. It's all very simple to explain and makes a ton of sense when you think of it like that. Hey look, I'm all for busting Dom out of jail, but like, this plan couldn't have been more thought out? Something I've never understood about the scene that opens Fast 5 is how that bus flips over. The three cars disorient the bus, and then Brian positions himself in a way where the speeding bus will hit his car. Now, instead of the massive vehicle plowing right through Brian's car, it instead proceeds to flip over and tumble about 100 times. What? How did that happen? That's like a, I was gonna have an example here, but I don't need to. That's like a huge speeding bus hitting a normal car, and somehow the bus takes more damage. Plus, they say at the end that no one died, but like, how? Everyone was handcuffed without seatbelts in a packed bus that flipped over 100 times. How did anyone walk away from that? I think Dominic Toretto is actually a physics genius. Yeah, I said it. I mean, he literally has to be at this point. It's either that or he's a modern-day version of Sherlock Holmes who can foresee every possibility laid out in front of him. The 4th Fast and Furious movie was still having some growing pains when it came to transitioning from a street race franchise to what it is now, but it still has its moments of physics-defying insanity. The best comes right at the beginning where Dom and his crew try to rob a fuel truck while it's driving. Which, first off, why couldn't they just make the tankard pull over and steal it then? It's not like there was any other cars around. Anyways, things go horribly wrong, forcing Dom into a position where he has to drive under the tankard that's rolling his way. Does it look cool? Absolutely. Does it make any sense whatsoever given the height the tankard would need to get plus how fast Dom would need to go? Absolutely not. Fast 5 ends with Brian and Dom driving through the streets of Rio, swinging a massive bank vault around the streets like it's made of paper, and casually looking the other way as it causes untold numbers of deaths and property damage. So the question is, how in the heck can their cars be strong enough to pull this vault? Because in case you didn't realize, vaults are pretty heavy. It's not made out of sunshine and rainbows, but rather reinforced steel. There's just no way those two cars could easily pull that safe around the streets, even with all that momentum on their side. But then the movie would have been over much quicker if they could only go about 2 miles per hour while dragging that safe. It wouldn't have been as fun. Don't miss. That's what Dom says as he gears up for his final jump to hopefully destroy the helicopter in Furious 7. Now, here's something I've always wondered. Did he always intend to barely scrape the helicopter so he could attach the grenades to it? Or did he fully intend to crash his car into the side of it and just assume he'll be fine, but only changed his plan mid-flight? Either way, the fact that this would all happen in about 2 seconds makes it all the more implausible. But you know, I can forgive this moment because it's awesome. But I can't really forgive what comes next as Dom crashes the car, apparently dies, but then is just brought back through the power of sheer love? That's crazier than the jump. Everyone is basically superhuman in this franchise, but no one embodies that idea more than Luke Hobbs. He likes to take the idea of physics and logic and punch it really hard until it submits and gives up. Do we want to talk about how when he punches no-named people, they literally go flying like they were hit by an elephant? Do we want to talk about how he somehow pushed a speeding torpedo with his bare hands? Do we want to talk about how he fell out of like a 5 or 6 story building and onto a car that was just decimated and somehow lived? Or do we want to talk about how he pulled a Captain America and basically stopped a helicopter from flying just by holding it back? If anyone tells you that Luke Hobbs isn't a super soldier in disguise, then clearly they aren't watching the same franchise. And here it is, the moment that will live in infamy forever. This single moment was a statement that the Fast and Furious franchise would never again be about simple street racing, and rather it would just be a series of insane stunts that fry physicist eyeballs and present the idea that cars are just actually spongy, absorbent pillows rather than, you know, actual cars. In the 6th movie, they're fighting a tank. Letty's on top of the tank. The tank flips over and sends Letty flying to her certain death off a cliff. Quick-thinking Dom jumps on top of his car, rams his car into the side rail, which sends him flying forward to catch Letty in midair, and they land softly into the windshield of another car. Good thing that car was there to break their fall, right? If you ever want to hook someone on this franchise, just show them this clip. I know this isn't really a physics-defying moment, but more of a logic-defying moment. My favorite thing is how they retconned Tokyo Drift to take place in like 2014 when, yeah, that just doesn't make sense. I blame the likability of Han.